Okay. Welcome everyone to the second webinar of the day. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and a lot of you might be preparing for your study abroad goals. So we are going to discuss predominantly in this particular webinar about scholarships, admission into top universities, and what are the pointers that you would need to study abroad at one of the good universities. Apart from just a good universities, how do you look towards the job aspects, your internships, and a bunch of those things. Okay. For that, we have some amazing speakers today. We have first speaker who is a graduate from Carnegie Mellon, who recently graduated from Carnegie Mellon and is just entering into the professional world. And the other speaker that we have is from University of Calgary, who is going to pursue his PhD, full funded in US. So yes, both of these speakers are really credible folks who have been guiding and mentoring students throughout their career. And yeah, so before we start the session, I would request all of you. So please do not unmute yourself. Please do not turn on the videos. Because of certain issues, we had to keep the recording live. And I would recommend all of you to maintain a professional decorum so that we can interact more through the chats and we can address more and more questions, by the speakers. You are most welcome to enter all your questions in the chat. We are going to take most of, or rather all of the questions during and the end of the session. And if you have any particular doubt that you feel that this is something that you should ask, do ask right away. Okay, don't feel shy in asking. Again, this is an open session, so you have all the rights to ask all of the questions or concerns that you have regarding studies abroad or scholarships, admissions, and whole sorts of things. So with that said, let me start the session formally. So hello everyone, this is Nikhil Jain, your host for the session. Today ForeignAdmits, an edtech platform which basically connects Indian students with international students and mentors for a one-to-one mentorship session. We are here live for the second webinar of the day, which is Admits to Scholarship. A lot of people basically focus about how to get an admission, how to go to a top university, but they usually lack the whole process that lies behind that. And a lot of blogs, a lot of content are already out there, but it's somewhere missed out to get someone who has actually done this process to guide you. And that's basically the whole agenda of this session. So we have two amazing speakers here on the session. We have Utkarsh. Utkarsh is a Carnegie Mellon graduate, also from Mumbai. So if you are from Mumbai, say hi. And then we have Saket. Saket is a graduate from University of Calgary into petroleum engineering, and he's now going to pursue his full-funded PhD in US, if I'm correct. So if you are from Delhi, Saket is from Delhi, you can say hi. And I'm just going to bring on the speakers right now. Yep. Hi, Utkarsh.
Hi, Nikhil.
Okay. Yep.
Am I audible? You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Saket, you need to unmute yourself probably. Yep.
Hi, I think I'm unmute now.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. So, where are you currently?
In Mumbai?
Okay. What about you?
Oh, I came back to Delhi last month, but I have to return back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool then. So, I won't take a lot of time. I would straight away push this session towards. Just give me a second. Okay. I would push the session towards you guys to drive it. I'm just going to ask some basic questions. So, how we're going to start the session is a journey for from both of you about your background. It is very important for the people to understand where do you come from in India, what kind of education you have received in India, and from there, what was the trigger point which helped you to plan that this is the time I want to study abroad. So all about your journey, if you guys can, one of you guys can probably lead it, and then the other can follow the lead. So yeah, Saket. Hmm. Saket, you need to unmute. Yep.
Okay, so I have to start, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll start with my journey. So basically, first I need to introduce myself, and
Mm, Saket, could not see you. Hello. I believe there has been some issues, and the speaker is kind of
I think I'm here. Oh, actually, I have some internet connection. Sorry.
okay.
Oh, no worries. So I am Saket Kumar. I am MSc graduate at the University of Calgary. I pursued there, and then I got admitted at Stanford University with full funded scholarship. And I'm starting this from this fall. Actually, I was admitted for fall 2020, but I had to defer it because I was not able to complete my MSc thesis by that time. So I deferred it to fall 2021. And I graduated from my bachelor degree from one of the school from Dehradun. It's called IIT University. They have a small department in the petroleum engineering, and I graduated from there in 2018. And then I went to Houston to work as a reservoir engineer in a Houston-based A&P company, Drilling Tech International. And I worked there for like 8 months, and then I moved for my MS at the University of Calgary. The thing that I wanted to pursue higher study was subject to gain the subject matter understanding. Many of us have a complaint that why we are not being recruited by the good firm. But the problem is in India, the thing how it works is either you should be from the top tier colleges, or you should have a very better skill sets. But this better skill sets is very rare to gain in a like a lower tier colleges. But that doesn't mean we cannot achieve that kind of subject matter understanding. It's up to you how you are gaining the things from your whenever you are taking class in the courses in the classes. So in my life what happened is once I completed my second year of my bachelor degree, I met many of the professors, and that professor was someone like who actually pursued their degree from University of California, Berkeley, or some other University of Texas at Austin. They told me if you want to literally gain the understanding of the subject, you should at least cross the boundary of the classroom and start doing something like where you can actually implement your theoretical knowledge into the practical world. And then I started working in the laboratory, and sometimes with time when I like enhanced my understanding of about the equipment and everything, then I started redesigning my own equipment and apparatus in the laboratory. And then meanwhile I think I published like 9 papers from my bachelor degree, and 3 papers during my MSc degree, and 1 chapter in a book for the mining engineers published by the Next Technologies. So from there I have like this, that was my roadmap, how I pursued things. Sorry for this
Interesting.
thing. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. That's interesting, guys. So I believe you basically went to work abroad and then you kind of happened to learn about your master's interest, right, Utkarsh? Sorry, right, Saket. Okay, perfect. So Utkarsh is there on the call. I'm just trying to add him. Let me check. Okay, Utkarsh is just joined. Let me. mm, I've just taken a little bit of security concerns because of certain issues. Is so I'm just trying to control it. A co-host. Yep. Uh, yeah. You both of guys are live. Yep.
Good. Sorry, Nikhil, the net went off. So,
No, absolutely. It's fine. Yeah. So yeah, we were discussing about the journey. So hopefully you can start your journey for the students.
sure. So, did my bachelor's in computer science from NM, National Institute of Management Studies. It's pretty popular in India. Once I got there, like I was good at coding, but I never wanted to actually get into coding. I wanted to go the entrepreneurial route, like actually solve problems. So like build something or of my own that actually scales and actually solve some sort of problem. So I got into this whole edtech space of consulting and helping people. Didn't really think of it as a product, but that's where the whole idea of product management came for me. So then my bachelor's got like 5 offers, but all were like computer science and all of that, so like coding jobs. So I didn't take any. Then I spoke to Sumit, who was a co-founder of Yocket. He was a friend of mine, so I got into Yocket. I was doing like consulting work there and working as their first product manager hire. But I wanted something more systematic and something more, in the tech space as well. So I joined Topper, which was again an edtech startup. Worked there for a good year. Then I was like, okay, now this is done. Now next what? So then I was like, okay, Zomato had some openings. So like, might as well try. I love food. I love Zomato, the app and everything. Might as well give the interview. Gave the interview. Luckily got in. And this was the time where like product management was just starting in India, because and neither did I have all like any idea about like I want to do product management, get into product management. But in Zomato, like I worked on like Zomato Gold for a while. I worked on the chat team. I did like pretty cool projects. Then I was like, okay, this is what I want to do for like at least the next 5, 10, 15 years for my life. Here in Zomato, like and the problem like with in India, like I'm not dissing India, but the thing is it was very business, it was very tech focused. Plus product management is not just that. Like Nikhil has built this huge product. If you ask him like how much he codes, he doesn't code every day. There's a lot of other things that go into picture. There's business side, design side, marketing strategy, a lot of things, right? So all of those things weren't really I wasn't really familiar with that, nor was I taught that in my job as well. Probably because I was like a fresher with 1 year experience. So I started searching for all these colleges that offer such sort of a degree. Got like list of like 7 8 top colleges. Applied to like Berkeley, Columbia, CMU, NYU, USC. Except Berkeley, I got into all. I got into CMU two programs. I got into the MISM program, MIS program in the Pittsburgh, the main campus, and software management, the one in the Silicon Valley campus, which is like the main program for the Silicon Valley campus. So I was deciding between that, CMU, because I wanted a tech school with a heavy focus on design and business. So I think that was the decision I made. Came to CMU, did product management. It's like really one of the best courses that I did. In the span there, I had the chance to work with like Emirates, the Emirates, the airplane company that you know about. I worked with Stanford, pretty cool projects. I worked on like two conversational AI startups as well. So I think my journey of product management is still continuing, and I think CMU has really helped me explore into the greater depths of product management. And I did my internship with LinkedIn, got a return offer. Also had offers from Lyft, which is like the Ola of the United States. It's like a car hailing transport service company, and I'll be joining Lyft because I'll be working on the autonomous vehicle part of Lyft as a product manager. So yeah, I think that's my journey so far. And currently I'm in India, just chilling.
Absolutely. And I think both of you guys had a very stellar profile, honestly. Like, okay, I'm a little amazed on this. Trust me, I had nothing of this sorts and I started. And I believe audience, you should be asking a lot of questions because one is from US, one is from Canada, and then US. So, and again, two diverse profile. One is predominantly in technical and product management. One is into core engineering, oil and gas, which is somewhere I belong. So I would be really happy to facilitate more questions. So let's come to something very basic. Okay, you guys have studied at one of the top universities. Okay, what was the trigger that you had, and then what was the understanding when you maintained, when you were planning to choose your country and university for your masters? Okay, so anyone, if you can pick it up, and then the next person can follow it.
Okay, so I think I can go for Sakit if you don't mind. Sure. So about me, I don't know if it was bias or like, a lot of my cousins, a lot of my family friends and everyone went to the United States. So I didn't actually look into like Europe and Canada. It's actually as simple as that. And so it was always US, it was always Silicon Valley, it was always California for me for like a couple of reasons, because that's where the whole tech boom started. That's where all the cool startups are. That's where you see your fangs, your Facebook, Google, and all those big companies are. As a child, like I always wanted to work at Google, which I think most of the software engineers who are there in today's chat probably would want to do that as well. So it was always getting close to Google. So it was always United States for me, because I think when it comes to tech, when it comes to the tech whole revolution, I think they're still pioneers there. So that was my approach to like choosing the country.
Interesting. And what about you, Sakit?
Okay, so yeah, when I took several courses of the petroleum engineering. Even Nikhil, you are from the same background, right? So you worked on sale reservoirs, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, so like I was taking a course called drilling fluids at that moment. So what I noticed is like in the sale reservoir generally, I will talk about few technical things and then we can proceed about it, right? So generally in sale reservoir is made up of clay, as a very reactive clay, that is a dominating mineral present inside the shale formation, right? So whenever it interacts with the water, it swells and it disperses and leads to the other well integrity issues, isn't it? So that's the well instability issues. So I figured out that problem actually, and there was many paper. So I started just thinking about it, and then later I had a contact with some of the professor. Then they asked me, okay, you can go through the Googles and some papers. From that day, I started reading articles. So on that day, I crossed the boundary from the textbook and I started going to the articles. And then I thought, okay, so I have two things to by which I can, tackle these issues. Either I can do something in the reservoir, it's mean the rock, or I can implement or I can just modify the water chemistry so that or the any kind of chemical I can change the chemistry of the additive so that I can plug the pores and I restrict the water invasion in the formation, and by that way I can mitigate the cell wellbore integrity issues. So in that way I actually started working and I got the results. Then I published the things, and then my professor, because I am not belonging from like a very good financial background, so my professor told me, he was a graduate from 1955 from University of California, Berkeley. I know, you know, Dr. D. N. Saraf. He was the head of the IIT Kanpur Chemical Engineering Department in 1975. So he told me uh, that for higher education, if you are paying a penny from your pocket, it means you are not worth. So even I did not have the money, so I had no choice. Even I couldn't decide where I have to go to Canada, New Zealand, or US because I was not having any penny in my pocket, and I was already studying on education loan during my bachelor degree. So he said, okay, publish your work and try to showcase it. And then I started publishing the things. And that doesn't mean, let's say, in my imagination, when you are doing a bachelor degree, it means you are very versatile at that moment. Here you have lots of option to go through. Like you can go anywhere in your stream. You cannot restrict yourself to a one stream. Like, okay, I want to work in the drilling engineering. I want to work in the reservoir engineering. The best part for a bachelor degree engineers are like they know everything, at least the fundamentals. So yeah, from there I started, and then I emailed some profs. And when in 2018, when I was in the States, I was doing intern or the EIT as a EIT engineer. I was working there as a reservoir engineer in Houston. So one of the prof called Dr. Bridgemani from University of Calgary, he asked me to apply. I said like even I did not have the money to pay for the IELTS. He said, no, 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 it's okay. You don't even need to write IELTS. Just apply and I'll get you in. And then I applied and I got in into the University of Calgary. And from there it has gone like that is the way how it happened to me. And now here I am. And then again for the Stanford, actually I proposed a research because I already because I during my bachelor I worked into the drilling area, and when I switched to MS I started working on the reservoir engineering area. But during my MSc, actually I understand like how you can enhance your skills, because in India we hardly get all those things. Let's say simulators. When what is simulator according to me? It's just thing. It's just Excel. You're doing the mathematical calculations for the big calculations you're doing. That's the meaning of simulators. Coding is different thing, but simulator means that for me. And I know everything about reservoir simulations, but I was not able to code. As you were saying, coding is very tough. So even I hardly ever I was able to manage good grades in computer science. Like so when we were taking C++, Java and all during our bachelor degree, but I learned MATLAB and I code my own reservoir simulator when I was in MS. And then whatever the experiments I conducted, I developed my own in-house reservoir simulator to simulate the process. And in that way, I enhanced my skills. And then I like there are few professors. There's nobody, even Nikhil, you know, who worked on gas oil relative permeability till date, because nobody knows how to handle the gas flow.
I
One
understand.
cannot, even if you have a pressure transducer to record like pressure drops, you can determine the volume you produce, the volume you inject, but you cannot determine the pressure drops. So that is the problem. Even we don't have any equipment. So I developed a kind of sand pack, the vertical sand pack, where
All
we
this
can,
was done during your Calgary days, right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there we developed a tool by which we can predict the pressure drop when we are injecting the gas to displace the oil. And then I developed, like, there's nobody who worked on the gas oil relative permeability because it's impossible, like very rare to interpret.
Yep.
And I did some of the modification in the JBN method, and I developed my own equations and correlations to predict the effect of temperature on gas oil relative permeability. And I know there's a professor in Stanford, their student who is now working with the Chevron Technology Center. She worked on water oil rel pump because handling
Interesting.
water is easy.
I can totally relate to it, but let's not make it a more technical for the audience because this
Yeah,
is
sure.
something that's gonna go definitely beyond
Yeah,
a lot of
definitely.
fun. So
So then I proposed a research in their group and I
Mhm.
approached them. So he didn't say that he'll get me in. He asked me to apply. But I was very to the point in my statement of purpose that
Mhm.
what I did and what I can offer on their table. And
That's
in that way,
important.
I got into the Stanford. Yeah.
And did you have to give GRE or anything as
Oh
such?
yeah, I had to give the GRE. I got 332 out of 340 in GRE.
Mhm.
And I didn't write TOEFL because I was not required to,
Yes, absolutely.
because I already had a degree from University of Calgary, Canada. So yeah.
That's good. That's good. Okay, let's. So definitely, both of you guys had a very diverse profile. So the conversation is. I'm going to have a good challenge to pick up the questions, but let's keep it more student focused here. Okay, need to understand a few things. Okay, yeah, definitely Sake told about his journey in Calgary and now going ahead. Utkarsh, I didn't get to hear more about the Carnegie Mellon experience that you had, in product management. How was the course different? You said definitely the course is really interesting. So what was the thing that you liked about the course, you liked about the college and the whole ecosystem?
Sure. So that's a good question. So about the product management course was the main thing was we had no prerequisites or we had no like this course we're supposed to do. It's the course that you want to build. So basically we had to take like 12 courses. So all the 12 courses could be like from like you could take all machine learning courses, you could take all design courses, you could take all business courses. That's solely on you. Now the best part about this course was the faculty, obviously. So like there were like couple of courses in product management which was actually taught to us by people from like the higher management from Apple and Google. Design was taught us to by the UX design lead of Netflix currently. So I think the exposure we got there was really great. Apart from that, compulsory like every class we had to build a product, like end-to-end product, like actually create a marketing plan, sales strategy, build wireframes, create like a website, running website for it, and every end of the course there would be like a mock VC session where we would be pitching our product to the VC. So I think the learning experience from the idea stage to actually deploy and raise funding for it was taught to us, and we potentially all of us in 12 courses we created 12 products which can be like potential startups. So I think as a product manager that learning was immense. Apart from that, like I mentioned, like CMU has collaboration with like Stanford Lab, the Department of Energy where I worked, the Emirates Lab. So there you actually during your coursework you had you know the opportunity to work with and solve these complex real world problems that are there, and you wouldn't be just constrained to like the bookish knowledge or probably just the textbook, the assignments and stuff like that. So I think that is what the same experience was for me. And yeah, I think that was what sets the CME product management course apart from like the other courses that I've seen and spoken to people about.
Interesting. So definitely, I think the key takeaway for from both of you as of now till we discussed is more about the practical exposure and the learning that both of your colleges had, and this is something is very different because I've not seen a lot of product management courses right now being offered even remotely in any of the Indian universities till date. So probably we can expect some of the IITs could do something in future, but as of now, nothing expected. Let's understand a little bit towards the current trends in the market. You guys have graduated just a little bit here and there in the COVID times. Okay, so definitely one of the most, I would say, this is an experience, I will not say negative as of now, but this is an experience which is going to be really more like a learning experience for both of you and for rest of us also, gonna learn from you. So what's your current take on the current trends and the opinion in the post-pandemic world for higher education. So yeah, I think Saket can start, and then probably Utkarsh can take over.
Sure, that would be good. Okay, so for COVID time, you're asking for, I guess, right? So I think I'll take in a negative as well as a positive way, but we should talk about more positive things rather than taking negative way. According to me, like if you're studying and if you're graduating from a research-based MS and all, I don't think so you'll have much problem, because I don't think so. Yeah, economics are affected. I can say people are laid off, but still there are many companies, many firms that they are not laying off their people from the company. Instead, they're asking to work from the home. Even for me, I'm also working as a research scientist come engineer, and nobody has laid me off. And still I'm also meanwhile working for, like, I'm consulting for many companies like Telesto Energy in India, and still I'm working for Delling Tech. It's all depends upon your requirement, like your requirement in the world and your requirement in the company, your skill sets requirement, like how like your skill sets are benefiting them. If they are if your skill sets are benefiting to the firm, then definitely they'll keep you. So I'll not mind, and I can say that this COVID-19 time is affecting us or affecting any employee if they have the skill sets. So this is my stand for COVID-19 time.
Okay, over to Utkarsh.
Yeah, sure. So COVID-19 was like a learning experience, like you said, Nikhil. And from Saket, one point that actually makes sense and I resonated with it is skill set. So jobs have been affected, yes. For the next probably 6 to 8 months, jobs will be affected, yes. But like you said, if you have the skill set and if you're persistent enough in like applying, getting referrals, applying again, and like continuously learning and relearning, finding the shortcomings and doing it again and again, you will get the job because people have gotten jobs, and then there are people who haven't gotten jobs, and the only difference is they were prepared and they weren't. Obviously, the funnel of jobs. If earlier there were like 5,000 companies that are accepting like job are hiring, now there'll be like 1,500 probably. But so that does mean like you have to be more prepared than ever, because it's like Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest. You have to be like more prepared now and be better skilled. And because if you're not skilled, I think there'll be some other person who will be better skilled than you, and they might have take the job. So yeah, that's my
Yeah,
opinion.
even I would like to add something. Like if we are more concerned related to Canada, if we talk about relating something to the Canada, in Canada, like they are more supportive, the government. Like even before COVID-19 too, for any interns or for any students, if the firm is hiring, it's been, let's take an example. If a firm is paying $30 an hour to a student as an engineer, like as an intern, right? So it's been that 15 bucks is coming from the government and $15 is paying from the firm. So if you have the skill set as a student, you will be preferred more comparing to the highly experienced professionals, because the company knows I can hire this guy just for 15 bucks and they'll do my work. And you cannot think about the highly experienced people for, like something like that, right? So this is the best thing about Canada. And now Canadian government is forcing the employers, hire the people, we'll pay you, we will support you. So that's why even in this economy, you can check on the LinkedIn, they're like, students can check, there are many jobs are opening in Canadian market, and this is the only reason. So I don't think so it's negatively affecting everyone. Yeah, but yeah, for your health concern, you have to be more, secure and something like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think one positive thing which I've seen, and probably US is now falling into the positive places after the elections. Um, Specifically from Canada, I saw a new notification that I think people who are not able to get jobs, they get still an extension on the visa for I think 18 months. There is some kind of a notification on that. I'm not going to quote anything because it's still not well known. But yes, Canadian government has definitely taken some really interesting steps to help the international immigrants basically. And talking about the US, now I feel Utkarsh should be feeling, I would say, a little bit more confident
Definitely.
after the new elections, right? So that is something that I feel for both of the international students, it's really good. For Australia, just going to add a little bit here. It's definitely one of the less COVID affected regions, Australia and New Zealand. And again, the jobs are really high there also. It's just that you need to be really strong in the skill sets. You can't do something which is not relevant and expect a job to come in. You have to be really focused, because again, it's pandemic. More people are then looking to study abroad. More people are going to upskill themselves, when the economy goes down. So you definitely will have a competition, but that's fine, because the world is digitizing. There is more opportunities than before now in the digital space, and remote working has given more leverage for you to work with more of the companies globally. So that's something you have to probably take it as a positive. Okay, so let's come to something a little bit more uh, peculiar. So not a lot of you know here that Utkarsh has been helping a lot of students through his Instagram profile. So you definitely should go to Utkarsh Instagram and follow him. He talks about courses, he talks about jobs, how to search and apply, and he does a lot of giveaways. So Utkarsh, since you have recently applied for the job and gotten it, tell us a little bit about your job search and apply experience. How did that happen?
Sure. So, job search, like for internship and for the full time is pretty different. But so for internship, like how it works is, there are career fairs, but honestly, even in colleges like CME and Stanford, they're not really helpful because those are common career fairs where like 3,000 people apply, so that doesn't really work out. So there are two ways to applying to jobs: either go to the career portal of college of the company and apply, or through LinkedIn. Now the part is, since there's so many people applying, whether you're from CMU or Stanford or MIT, it doesn't really matter to them. So how I applied was like, I would not email, I would use referrals, because that's what I was told, that you have to get referrals to actually get like a call back. And I kind of think it did work for me, because what I would do is, I had a template which I followed. I would like just hit the people up on LinkedIn, and these were people who were like senior level people, right? Like because I think cold emailing and reaching out to people on LinkedIn is an underrated skill, honestly. I would actually reach out to CEOs and tell them like, this is my story in like 140, 300 words, whatever it is. This is this. I bring this to the table in short. And after they would accept it, I would send in a personalized connection request, so that not sounding desperate, just telling them what is my skill set and what I'm looking for. And I saw the conversion was like close to 30%. If you just send like a connection request, it'll be like way worse. So I think that, I applied to like close to 110 odd jobs. I got like interview calls from like 20. Um, then there's a whole concept of like fit and everything. I got like final rounds for like 3 or 4 companies. I actually got like 3 internship offers, out of which I chose LinkedIn because it was the best of all. So yeah, that was my internship journey. But all in all, I think to apply for like and yeah, in LinkedIn, like I gave like 6 rounds. So I was working in this at LinkedIn. I was working on the social impact team, which is a new team by LinkedIn, on the chat platform you use on LinkedIn to make it more intuitive and automated, basically. So the at Carnegie Mellon, the first course that I did was solving large scale problems. So at Carnegie Mellon, they work with NGOs, and they, according to CMU, I'm not quoting it, it's what they quote, that the next decade of problems are social problems, because AI and machine learning are solving all the tech related problems. It's the social problems like inequality gap, air pollution, stuff like that. That needs to be solved. Oil and gas, what Sake, these are the problems that people actually need to talk about and solve. So we were working on a problem called income gap in Bay Area and the United States, because in Bay Area there are people like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk moved out, but there are all these billionaires, and then there are people who are homeless because they don't have a job and they're not in the tech field, because California, as you know, is very high. So we were working on these social problems, and that's how a LinkedIn recruiter reached out to me. And yeah, 5 6 rounds later, I had an offer. So that was my internship journey.
Interesting. So I think the major takeaway here is definitely do not underestimate LinkedIn. There is a lot that LinkedIn can offer. It's just a matter of your approach that could, help people. So Saket, you definitely had a very, unconventional way of going towards your, PhD at Stanford. You definitely worked hard, so that is something I know it. By the way, I met Saket, I think, in Bombay at one of the SP conference, and he was presenting his paper, and I happened to bump into him, and that's how I could recollect. That's how we met. So Sakit, tell us a little bit about the mechanics of how to connect to the professor if people are looking for PhDs, and if even if going for a job, what are the ways that you follow in Canada?
So I'm more into research area, so I would talk more about it because Utkarsh has already talked about how to approach the people in industry for a job. So I would rather talk about academia. So according to me, like I had a very good interaction with many renowned professors in the world, like who is actually the first generation engineers, you can say. So actually, I didn't have very good GPA. I just had 8 GPA, CGPA, right? And mix of like B grade, A grade, and something like that. I was never having 9 CGPA or 10 CGPA in my bachelor degree. But I applied actually and I got in. Right. And one day I was referring one of my friend from Dehradun, and professor asked me, okay, what's her GPA? Like, what's her skill set? So I said, she knows this. And actually, I proudly told them she has 9.8 CGPA out of 10. She said, Sakit, excuse me. Actually, many times I have hired many students from IIT, those who had 9.8 GPA, but research skill is zero. So
Right.
at the end of the day, I know many professors who are just publishing, but
Absolutely.
publication should be of high standard, and that we account based on the impact factor. And sometimes, uh, so this is the thing. So for professors, they are actually willing to see what you can offer to them. Sometimes professors have huge funding. Let's say during this COVID time, oil industry is already facing a lots of issue. So the funding of the professor is already degraded, right? It's very low now. So hard most of the time professor says, I don't have funding and I cannot hire you. But that doesn't mean they are not going to hire anyone. They are looking for a person who can offer something on his table. So according to me, what I do when I approach professors is first I go through their profiles, what they worked on and what they are working on. Sometimes they have the fund, but I'll go with like a step by step. So first of the thing, I would like to know what they are working on. And then I'll check in my box, like what I have to offer them. And if I have something to offer them, that's good. And even if I don't have, that doesn't mean I cannot get in. It means I have to prove them. See, I don't have this kind of thing that you are looking for, but I know how to get it done. Then you can propose something going through the literature, what they have done, and then you can propose. But just sending frequent emails can get you admitted still, but that depends on the funding, tendency of the professor. If they have, let's say, $1 million a year funding, they're getting in. And but in $1 million, they can hardly hire 5 6 students for their 2 years degree or 3 years degree, because research is itself like it's not cost effective things. They are taking too much money. So in that case, they will be very choosy. They will just hire top 3 4 students. But if they have $10 million, then definitely they will get you in, even if you don't have that kind of a skill set that they are looking for, because they know you are an engineer, you have the same background, you can work on it if they will guide you. So in my way, it's better approach to, if you want to secure your admit to any university, is to first go through the professor's profile and see what you can offer to them and just propose it.
So, okay, this definitely brings to a very interesting question, and I'm like really excited to ask both of you. Okay, uh, does university ranks matter to a great extent, or how do you discriminate? Because I see a lot of students, just focusing on, I want to go in, let's say, top five, top seven, or top 10 kind of university, but then the challenge comes in, I don't have a profile. So how do you guys think, like, Utkarsh, let's say MIT could have been on the topmost list, right? Everyone dreams of MIT, I will not lie. Even I would have dreamt of MIT at some point of time, but not everyone gets it. So how do we basically pick up that university from a job perspective and also from the research perspective, which would definitely suffice my needs at the same time? I don't be in the rat race dilemma of just the top ranks.
Okay. So I think that's like the main question which everyone asks. I think me, Saket, you probably, and I think Nikhil, you'll be getting the most of these questions, obviously. So according to me, does ranking matter? So it's a yes and no. It's not 100% no. It's not 100% yes, because it's not like that easy to answer. But the thing I would say is, ranking matters to an extent, but that's it. Honestly, like from like the course I did from Carnegie Mellon, do I have like, did I get any favorism or anything like that? No. Was I like, people in awe that I graduated from Carnegie Mellon? No. It's just so degree matters to an extent where it looks good on a resume. It looks and I think that's a very Indian / societal thing, that resume like university matters like a lot. You are from an IIT as well, so like IITs how they're deemed in India, but you can be in CMU or MIT, like you said, and if you don't have the skill set, you won't get a job. I know so many people who are in Stanford who still don't have a job because of whatever reason it is, and the people from lower ranked institutes who have worked hard, have the skill set, like Saket said, and how Nikhil you mentioned upskilling. They upskill themselves. They actually they stayed persistent. They worked hard, and they have multiple offers. So focusing way too much on ranking and universities is not a good thing. I think you should be realistic in the colleges that you're applying for. Like there's a thing called like how we do safe, moderate, and ambitious. I think you should be ambitious for sure. You should be ambitious in life, but there should be a threshold, and you shouldn't, like, if you're very university and ranking centric, you would lose out on the other universities in terms of the kind of SOP and everything you write, because you're not really interested in them. You're actually interested in the top 5, like you mentioned. So ranking does matter, yes, like 30% probably, not more, but it's all about like skill set, how you approach your professors, which Saket mentioned, how you approach on LinkedIn to all these companies, how you apply, and how skilled and prepared you are. So yeah, that's my answer to your question.
Interesting. Yep, Saket.
So yeah, we are talking about, I think, where we have to focus more on.
Like, does the ranking matters if you're going towards
Okay,
the
yeah,
R&D perspective, or
yeah,
how does someone choose a university if they're going for, let's say, master's by
yeah,
research or PhD on that note?
yeah. I can press more on this area because according to me, ranking doesn't matter. Like according to me, what I understand, and the only thing that matters in anyone's life is their skill sets, and they're willing to learn something. Let's say, uh, rather than just being into the academia will not do any good, like 100%, I can say. But maintaining the balance between academia and the industry may do good sometimes, because sometimes I believe, like, I can take any example you can talk about. Let's say, mm, uh, I don't know like what to talk about, but anything. Let's say whatever we are studying in a textbook sometimes. uh, let's take an example of the fluid mechanics. We know about non-Newtonian fluids, kind of things, right? Pseudoplastic and anything, whatever. So do you think always every kind of fluids polymer like follow the same trend line? No. So at that moment, this industry people works actually. They have some idea, their experience. Okay, if you don't want to use this kind of thing, you can use this. How it comes with the experience. Similarly, in from according to me, the balance between the academia and industry is very important. And let's say if you're just continuously pursuing your degree, it's mean even I cannot say that I cannot accept this. Whatever courses you are taking in India, even at the master level degree as well as the PhD level degree, you're gonna get the same course, 100% same course. There would be no difference. The only difference that you're gonna see is you are being taught by the great professors in a different way. Maybe you're using some simulator softwares, but at the end of the fundamental is same. Right. So what at the end of the day we are getting here, what we need to understand is your skill set. That is the only key point. That's actually I've seen in my career. I don't belong from any top tier university, but I made it so wherever I want to. And yes, Utkarsh really told very well that even the ranking of the universities is not that important. And even we face many jobless people. Like you can come out jobless even from Stanford. I know many people who got out of the Stanford without any job, and then they applied for the postdoc and something like somewhere else, and even they are sitting at why? Just because of the lack of the skill sets, they are not able to sell themselves in the market. Because now the
Exactly.
history, like the trend line that we used to follow, sit in the placement, get into the industry, work for some years, and then you will be known. But now no, industry is looking for someone who can offer something to them. They are not looking for the people to whom they can train. They can train the people, because training a people will itself taking too much cost, right? So they don't want to take such kind of a student. It's better. I'm not saying a fresher cannot be hired. Then definitely every company want to hire freshers, but they're also willing to see the people who can offer something on the table. So I think ranking is not that much important than the skill sets here. Again, yeah.
Absolutely. I think one, probably from the experience that I can pick it up, and he belonged to Saket's college only, so I kind of can relate to him. Rankings matter to an extent. You can get into a good university without funding and be financially burdened. And at the end of the day, if you're not taking out the skill sets, not getting the job, your loan is going to bump up drastically high. And studying in, let's say, Colorado School of Mines or Stanford without funding would be really difficult if you are not planning rightly. At the same time, you can study at a average university. Like I remember there was a university in Oklahoma. It's not a very high ranked university, but they kind of offered full funding with stipend to a student, and the student is now going to be financially free. He has more aspirations to build upon his profile, and he can easily go and connect. Something similar I can probably relate to Colorado School of Mines versus University of Arizona. Colorado School of Mines offering 90 lakhs as a fees and 2 years in the mining industry when the mining industry is all declining. And University of Arizona full funding with $2,000 of stipend. The person ended up doing 6 publications, 2 patents, and whole sort of thing, and got placed in the best mining industry as of now. So the idea is, if you want to go for full funding, and if you feel your profile is somewhere competing, you can always adjust in those choices. And as you move along, rankings has nothing to do with your profile. What it basically does, the location and the other sort of aspects that I probably gonna ask Utkarsh to cover up. How do you basically choose a university or a course? What are the factors that you're gonna probably focus upon when you're choosing a university?
All right, makes sense. So, the main thing for me was like, and before answering this question, one more thing I'd like to add to what Nikhil and Sakil all said is, it's about the, like, Nikhil, you're also from like a top prime institute in India. Like, it's, I think the faculty is probably plus minus there, like in top school will be a little better. It's mainly about the experience. It's basically the students, what they build, do as a community, what they build, what they do. Like, if you see like IITs, their countries, I'm not generalizing it, but that's the trend. Like, they're doing stuff, they're building things, they're doing something. Other colleges, they're more focused on only giving exams, doing assignments, and we know how assignments are done in like Mumbai University and other these things. So there's not that learning. So that's the main difference between like a top university and a normal university, like a lower ranked university. And like you said about the financial independence and everything, I think I have so many of my friends who weren't in the top 100 university, but they're in like Google and Facebook and the top companies in the world. So so according to me also, like how Saket mentioned, like ranking matters like 20%, 30% max. It's more about your skill set. And now to answer this question, wait, what was the question again? I lost track.
How to choose a university when you are, let's say, for states. Let's say you talk about states, and then Sakit's gonna pick about Canada. How would you be able to choose a university for the states?
Okay, so how I don't know what's the general way, but this is how actually I consider, like the factors that I considered. For me, location was important because I wanted to be like either like a Seattle or like any place which is like a tech hub sort of a thing. So that was really important to me. Then then it was the professors, like what are they teaching, what are the research expertise, what are their interests, their area, or what is their area of expertise and everything like that. Because they would be the one who are teaching me, so I should know they're credible enough, and like what are their skill sets, and if there's an alignment. So I think that was very important to me as well. Third was, what were the job opportunities post, like from the alumni, from LinkedIn I asked, and like the portal, the career portal page, it generally gives you an employment FAQ. So that was important as well. And fourth, I think the course, in terms of like it was product management, how good was the course? Like, was it covering the things that are needed or not, or was it like like a generalistic MIS or an engineering management course? So I think that I actually researched a lot, made a spreadsheet, like did a self rating of 1 to 10, which is like more aligned to my goals and interests. And I think honestly, the ranking was I think probably the last criteria for me actually. I just wanted a product management course that would suffice my needs. That's all. Yeah.
So I'll talk more about general things rather than focusing for the states of Canada. I'll talk about globally how it works for me, like and how it should work for anyone in the world. Uh, while selecting the schools, I will be given me as a person. I would first see like about the finances, like whether it will be funded or not, because that's a very crucial part when we decide about pursuing higher education. And then I'll focus more on what I'm gonna do, because the problem with us, like being a general student from India, like from coming from a lower tier colleges, even after graduating, we don't know what we have to do. We just know that we are graduated from a Bachelor of Technology degree, but actually we don't know anything. This is the reality that I know about me. So there I first decided that I have to pursue master degree or PhD degree, higher education, but I don't have money. Like I have to think about finances. So I would rather search for a university who can fund me. But at the same point, I also have to accept that why they will accept me. So different university have different thing. In Canada, University of Calgary is not coming in top 10 university. No, it's coming top 10 university of the Canada, of course, rank 4 or 5. But for petroleum engineering, they have a very good thing about petroleum engineering is the acceptance rate is in 1 digit number. Why? Because if you are a MSc student or a PhD student, it means you cannot fund by yourself. You cannot fund your study by yourself. It should be funded by either by your firm or your company or a third party, or you should be funded by the professor. You should get the 100% scholarship. Otherwise, even you cannot apply. If you are applying, your profile is not being reviewed. This is the good thing about University of Calgary. And then the professors actually, for me, I'm just telling you my story so that one can easily relate. And I'm not focusing just for petroleum engineering, for any kind of engineering. This is how things should work. If they want to get full funding or good funding so that they can support their financial things. And then after reaching this point, then I decide where I have to work, and then I'll look into the professor's profile. Because as we discussed in the last talk that we had is how to approach professors. You can only approach, you always want to work with the high rated professors, isn't it? But their reputation matters a lot too. So then I'll look into the professor's profile. I'll see, okay, this is a professor, what's their rating and like what kind of professor it is, what are their research impacts. And then I will decide, okay, I have to go in that university. That is my roadmap to pursue anything when it comes to higher education.
Interesting. I would say it's more like an idealist roadmap, and I kind of pursued a very similar roadmap, but it's going to take some time, guys. It's not going to be easy, as Saket mentioned very easily. It's not going to be that easy for
It takes
sure.
day and night.
Yes, because again, you want something which is not going to be like a regular or for the masses, full funding or any of the funding perspective or any of the admit perspective, in any of the top universities, it's going to be for limited people, right? And you have to come into that limited people. So one thing which both of the speakers definitely mentioned is what you have to offer. If you can kind of convey them in a better way, that would basically stand out, because everyone wants to get that learning experience. There is no big difference between you and thousands of other applicants. If you can showcase them what you can offer on the table to the professor or to the employers for your job, that's going to be important. Okay, so now coming back to one smaller step is, both of you would have written good amount of SOPs. Okay, so students really want to understand, how do you write an SOP? What was the mechanism that you followed to describe your story? Okay, and what was the whole process that you followed? Um, so who's gonna go first? Yeah, Utkarsh.
I'll go first. Okay. So first, like I'll talk about the things that people do wrong in an SOP, because I think I've seen a fair amount of SOPs. So it's like SOP stands for statement of purpose. So rather than actually talking about the purpose, they they actually reprint their resume there, which is like I think a major thing that they do wrong. They don't mention their purpose. Like in a statement of purpose, there should be things like why this course, Why do you want? It should show like your interest. It should show like, for example, why Utkarsh wants to do this course. It should show your research. Okay, I want to do this product management course in CMU because of probably a research interest, because of this professor. It shows that you've actually researched of the university. And the relation between the university and student should be two-way. Like it should be like, what can the university offer you? Why you are good fit to the university? And the part that student misses, what can you offer them? What do you bring to the table? So I think that's a really important piece that a lot of people miss in the SOP. Like, what do you bring to the table? If the university university knows like probably Stanford knows they're very good, and like how you said, there are like 5,000 people applying. What is it? What is it that differentiates you from the 4,999 people? So it's how you showcase and build a profile. What's the different thing that you've done? For example, like Saket published 9 papers. I had like 5 papers, and I did my CFA, and the whole the Instagram thing. I actually showcased it as a product. So that shows I've actually building skills. Like I've built a product. I've built an audience of like 2-3,000 people. So that shows like something that not a lot of people are doing, because in case of such top universities, how it works is they want to like negate candidates rather than acceptance. That's how it works. So one thing, a person who's done like better than you're probably out. So what is that differentiates you from the other people? So I think mentioning about that and talking about that experience rather than talking about technical terms and starting with like quotes, which I absolutely don't like APJ Abdul Kalam quotes and all of that just to act fancy. So I think those are like the key points that I would probably write in my SOP, and I would tell others to focus on as well.
Absolutely. Sakit, yep.
So yeah, my thing is like there are two kinds of document that we write during whenever we are applying for higher studies, and I think Nikhil is more pro person for SOP, and he's my first guru. And he gave me many references when I was in my engineering degree. I think 2017 or 18. I don't remember actually the year. So yeah, but I changed the format of my SOP. My SOP is directly what I can offer. Because I'm more like someone who is more focusing on the subject matter rather than just because in personal statement we can write your story, but in statement of purpose things are very clear, and to be you have to stick to the point what you can offer. And if you are saying that you can offer something, then how? Do you have the background? Do you have the proof? So in my SOP, my SOP format is totally different that I have ever seen in my life. It's very like a paper kind of things. Number one, number two, number three, number four, and then that's all. It's totally paper format. So initially, I just write why I want to attend Stanford University. So according to me, whatever I thought I wrote, and then my background. Then if I'm saying my background, then it means I am talking. Okay, so sir, you are doing this, and I know what you have done and what I did more than you. So that's what I show in my background area. And I just want to relate everything to their group if I want to get in their only group. So that's what I do. And then I will go to the purpose, like propose what you are proposing, research purpose. So I propose my research, how I can help you out and what you're doing, and what I have like things that have already shown my background and how I can do it. So I'm giving you the proof too. And then I write my personal motivation, because why I want to why I want to attend the Stanford University or any university in the world. And then that's all. I think sticking to the point would do good than just writing a story or essay for higher studies whenever it comes to research area. I don't know much about the MH area, so that's a very general thing. But when it comes to research, it's better to stick to the point what you can offer, and do you have the background or not. If not, that's okay. That doesn't matter. You cannot get admit. It just you have to be very loyal to yourself. Instead of bragging about the things, it's better to stick to what you can offer.
Yeah, like you should be
Absolutely.
concise, short, and sweet. Like 1,000 words. People have written SOPs of like 3 pages, 4 pages. So I think you should be like very clear rather than running around the bush. Telling like 500 things which or boasting about you. Because SOP is a lot of boasting about yourself, which I don't really get. So it should be clear and short and concise. Yeah.
I totally can agree, and I'd just like to share a small anecdote here because when I was applying for my PhD, I got PhD, and not a lot of people know I got PhD in US, in not a very top university, but with one of the most reputed professor, Mr. Harpulani, and it was in SIUC, and then I also got a PhD in UBC with one of my best friends, and then in Monash with IIT Bombay program. So, and there's a important reason when you're writing your SOPs for PhD, and I see a lot of people now are looking for MS plus PhD kind of a courses. Okay, be very precise as what both of them has mentioned and repeatedly mentioned. You don't have to write 10,000 things which doesn't matter to the professor. You write those 10 things which matters to the committee, where the committee is going to be interested in. And again, think from the other person's shoes. That is something is going to help you in writing your SOP. Just take it as a example, just like, if you were the grad committee members and you have like 20,000 SOPs to review in the entire year, how would you able to evaluate those 20 or 50 people? You got to be really focused on those pointers, and there is no such standards until unless the university mention. Sakit has given a very unconventional format. You go with the bullet points. That is absolutely fine, because I know UC Berkeley guy actually did this. I highly not recommended him, but when he got that, but it kind of changed my perspective that you can be unconventional in writing your SOP. So you can always pick up those essential pointers, and it's always being a little bit different, because they all will be seeing those quotes. As Utkarsh said, they all will be seeing those quotes. They all will be seeing those trivial ways of starting out, that you got hit by something and then you found out this is your passion. This is not something that people would believe in. So be a little bit authentic, and that's going to really help you towards your applications. So let's come to very very fundamental thing here. You guys being undergrads, okay? When you were in Mumbai University and then you were in UPS, how did you basically figured out, looking back, if you have to reflect back, what and all things as an undergrad you could have done better, or there is a scope for people who are in their undergrad to improve their profile. In undergrad, a lot of people don't know till their third year or fourth year what they want to do. What are the things that you feel that could be done, like pointers or something? These are the things that you should be doing as the hygiene, and these are the things that you could do as a exploration to probably build your profile or to get some clarity.
Yeah, so like looking back, if I reflect back, I think a very good point that you mentioned, like, it was like people aren't aware till the third, fourth year, which kind of gets late, because if you see in terms of the whole US or Canada application process, if I may, it's they look for a holistic profile. So if you're fourth year, meaning if you have messed up your GPA, like people go for like compensation for like compensating for GPA. So if I was like, back then I would have gone the first year and actually focused on my GPA and improved my GPA even more. So secondly, I think personal projects matter a lot. Everyone's doing that bank application in C++ and all of those things. So actually building something of my own, doing projects on my own, side projects, those side hustles actually help. Third, research papers, the more the better. And the impact factor, like how Sakit mentioned, I think that really matters a lot. If you can publish one or two, you are already better than like 80 to 90% people. um, Fourth, I think extracurriculars matter, but I think it's kind of like overrated in India. Like, everyone who's in the student community, they write that in the extracurricular resume, which doesn't really add a lot of weightage. Fifth, I don't like the part where like people focus a lot on Coursera certifications. You should focus on the learning rather than certification. Do that course, definitely do that course. Build a project out of it. Don't focus on the certification part. Okay, that certification will come and you'll put it on LinkedIn and or your resume. So I think to summarize, I would definitely focus on would have worked on my GPA, improved it, focus on projects, papers, and actually, I started my research about the whole masters very late. Actually spoken to people who have already gone to gotten their perspective, because I think being informed, you're paying a lot of money, being informed is really important about the courses, the outcomes and everything. And lastly, better research about the courses that you're applying to and what you want, because I think knowing what you want and figuring out is the best step to get ahead in life. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Over to Sakit. Okay. So I think Sakit is going to come in very soon. So meanwhile, let's pick up a couple of questions. Okay, Sakit is here.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry, so sorry. Actually, the magnet is not working sometimes. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So for the pointers for the undergrad students, right? So according to me, first thing that Utkarsh has already told you guys, run behind learning rather than collecting certificates. That it will never do good for anyone. I'll give you an example. Like let's say if you're getting C, C plus, whatever certificates you can earn, right? But sometimes if you don't have the research skills, still you can convince a professor that yeah, I'm ready to work for you. How? Because they are seeing if you are a chemical engineer. Let's say just talk about the technical things. Now people are talking about data science. But let's see, you can develop any kind of software, like any kind of program using the C++, but we are not sure who knows like C++ can also program in the Python. But let's say if you can program something in Python, it's mean you are just crossing your boundaries. You're coming out of the box. It's mean professor understands these things like, okay, this guy came out of the box and did something. It's mean this guy has like, they are willing to learn. So here by this way, we can also convince a professor or any committee, admission committee, that we are ready for the higher education because we are willing to learn. And education and study is all about learning process where we are learning. Even for any professor, no matter he's 80 years old or 70 years old, when it comes to research, it means they're learning every day from another student. So this is my thing. And for the undergrad students, it's better to try to expose to the laboratories. And exposing to the laboratories doesn't mean just running the equipment. It's mean to understand why this equipment we are using. And I can understand during undergraduate, it is very tough to go to this point. But I think if you try, you can learn, at least not to the 100%, but at least 10% for sure. It's mean that's a progress in your life. And in this way I think once you understand this meaning, and definitely at the time you graduate, you'll say, no matter you'll get a job or not, you'll say yes, I learned something. But this is the problem with our youth currently, is they are being graduated and they are graduated, but they are saying I'm not getting a job. And the problem for you, that why you are not getting the job, is this: you don't want to learn, actually learning thing. This is the pointers that I would like to express here, or like to point out. To learn, just learn, nothing else. And at the end of the day, world is yours.
Okay, that's pretty candid, honestly, and it's very important for the undergrads that a lot of undergrads usually run behind internships and they get not a very interesting internships just to add on their certificates, and then they struggle to get a good internship in near future or probably a good job. Sometimes it's good if your college is not giving you enough value at that point of time. It's better to switch to GitHub if you are the coder, and probably pick up certain repositories and start contributing. If you're into petroleum or heavy engineering machinery kind of fields, what I can say is read certain research papers or probably do certain case studies and try to write about those case studies or the industrial problems. What is your take on that? And probably that could help you. If not, you can learn certain simulation software, which is currently leading the market. So probably you can learn open source simulation softwares. That is also really interesting. So there is always an opportunity for you to learn and contribute. You just have to take that path. It's not going to be there that someone's waiting with a silver spoon to teach you and to make you learn these things. This is something you have to pick up, and if you pick it up right now, you would have this as an X factor for sure. So let's understand a little bit towards the cost. Saki, definitely you are the full funded scholar, so I'm not going to stress more. But Utkarsh, definitely certain finance. US is damn expensive as an education system is concerned. So how was the cost planning for you when you were going to US? How do you see other people planning? What was your learning and takeaways on that?
So yeah, US is definitely really expensive, and apart from that, to add like CMU is even more expensive. It's one of the most expensive schools in the world. So I think planning, like my parents had planned it like since the final year of engineering, because I think that's what I wanted to. I wanted to go to US to pursue my master's. So, and I went in 2019, so there was a good 2-3 years of planning in place. I did take a loan from Prodigy close to like equivalent 30 lakhs. My I-20 amount was like $74,000 if I'm not wrong. I don't know the exact number, but it's close to that figure. That's approximately 55 lakhs. Um, since I was in California, the staying was expensive as well because the rent was like $800 to $1,000 a month. So what really helped was like the TARA opportunity which CMU has, a lot of them. So that would pay and cover for my rent. And yeah, the internship, like it was a paid internship, and like the full time, the job offers that a lot of people got, that is really worth the ROI. But yeah, to sum it up, it was if people who are like applying for fall 2022, fall 2021, they're looking for like they're planning to apply to CMU or gotten the admits, I think they should plan their finances beforehand because CMU is a pretty expensive school.
Okay, sorry. Saket, yeah. Full funding, so definitely not a lot of financial planning. But then ultimately, how do you manage the finances? How other people in Canada used to manage your finance? Can you share your co-workers or colleagues' experiences?
Okay, so for state, I think Utkarsh has already focused on. For the first year student, they cannot work out campus. But in Canada, this is not true. You can still work out like off campus too for 20 hours. And in campus, like if you're working inside the campus, you can work as a full-time employee too, as a part-timer, 40 hours a week. So for me, it was not the case, but for most of the general master student, it was the same. So yeah, in this way, and according to me, if you are willing to, finance your education, you do not, let's say for a master degree, if you're getting into MEng program and you're not sure about your funding, so don't worry about it. Let's say if your education is costing you around $30,000, I think it's a bit less than US. Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's say
15
it's
lakh.
$30,000. So it's mean if you have to take 10 courses for your master degree to get graduated, it's mean $3,000 per course, right? Okay. So if you're coming to Canada, so you can work as a part-timer, 20 hours a week. It means you're earning around $1,200 a month. So let's say if a term is for, let's say you have to plan actually 10 courses, 2 years. It means you have 4 terms. It's been, let's say 2 courses per term is fine too, because you just not only have fall or winter, you have summers, springs, and everything. So let's say 2 courses per term. That's gonna cost you $6,000, and for the living expenses, it's gonna cost you $1,000, not more than that. So let's say I'm taking $1,000 per month for the living expenses and your pocket expenses. That's fine. And then 1,000 because for one term you're taking 2 courses. As an example, it's gonna cost you 6,000. It means 6 and 4,000, $10,000. So if you're earning $1,200 a month, for 4 months, it's gonna be around $4,800. So it's gonna cover, even like if I'm calculating $1,000 a month is too much. Even that never gonna cost you that much. It's something around 700-800 is too much for you. Or a bachelor person if they're residing in Canada. And let's say if you're saving $500 per month for 4 terms, you're gonna save at least $2,000. It means it's gonna cost you $4,000. That's all. So $4,000 times let's say 5 courses, just 20,000. It means you have already lowered your cost for the education from 430K to $20,000. And in this way you can reduce. And let's say sometimes there are many professors, they're willing to hire a student, even for the general master degree student who is not focusing into the research area. But if they're opting for the project-based course, so in that matter, professor can fund your will give you some sort of stipend. That is the same for the US, that we call as a short-term RA position. If please correct me, Utkarsh, if I'm wrong here. Sometimes professor does this, right? So you are earning, you are making money from there, so that will also help your education. So this is the way how a graduate student manages their funding, finances for the higher education in Canada too.
And whatever you mentioned is in Canadian dollars or US dollars, because that's going to be a different game
Oh
then.
yeah, of course.
It's Canadian,
Uh,
right?
yeah, of course, there's a difference, right? So for Canadian dollars, it's 56 or 55 rupees, and for US dollars, it's gonna be 75 rupees
Yeah.
1 dollar. So
So
yeah, of
if
course.
I'm making the assumptions right, 20,000 Canadian dollars in the end, it turns out, and which is going to be like 11 lakhs for 2 years. That's
Yeah.
actually very much in comparison to most of the Indian masters
Yeah,
who
true,
are looking at a
true,
private
true,
university.
true.
So that's a big revelation. Not a lot of people actually take a reflection. It costs almost equivalent to studying Canada versus in India, apart from let's say IITs. We're just removing IITs for that note as of now, and you can have a better global degree, right? So that's something you guys have to understand. This mathematics is really crucial. Utkarsh did it pretty fine, finely, because he was really focused since his graduation to go for a US. And you got to be really focused, on that note to go for US, because finance management is never going to be easy. And like Sakit, I had very limited clue, honestly, because we guys, got the full funding initially. So I think my stipend was $2,500 when I was there in Australia, and I had expense like less than $1,000. So $1,500. And my professor, I remember when I asked him how much would be the stipend, he said, "You can manage a car and two girlfriends in this."
Yeah.
So, and it's factually true. You can. So definitely, if you're going for Canada or US, finance management is really important. Canada is a little less expensive than US, currency wise and the education cost wise. And you have this one big advantage of working from the day one as a part time, as Saket said. So that's something is true. And same with Australia. If you're looking to come to Australia, you can work from day one. And the base pay in Australia for the TAs and RAs is $45. I used to get $40 for the TA shift, which I used to perform with my professor. And if you're doing in campus, the base pay is somewhere around $20 $25 in Australia. For Canada, I'm not sure what's, and for US, if you guys can tell the base pay for the in campus and out campus jobs, it will be really helpful.
For
Yeah.
Canada, in
So
Alberta, because in Canada it depends on the provinces. Different provinces have different base salary, and I think it's same for US too. So in Canada, I live in Alberta. So in Alberta, the basic pay is $15. But if you're working as a RA or T, it's gonna be more than around $30 to $50, between $30 to $50 an hour. So it's too much. And even for my funding, yeah, I was getting too much. Like even I don't need that much money. And sometimes like the professor had different dealing with their students. So sometimes you're making a stipend as well as you're getting a yearly scholarship too. And that is in like 10,000, sometimes 20,000, and sometimes there are people like I won last year Killam laureate. It's $80,000. So in this way, but it depends on your prof, like whether they want to keep it or they want to give it to you. Yeah. So over to you, Utkarsh.
yeah. So similarly, I think it's province-wise and city-wise, depending on the expense. In somewhere in Texas, the base pay is like $12 an hour. So you can expect something like, but in California, it's like $15 an hour minimum. RA and TAs can go up to like $30 an hour. I think at Stanford, it's like close to like $45 an hour, which is what equivalent what Amazon pays their software engineering students. So Stanford pays a lot, but on an average, it's $20 to $30 for TA and RA opportunities, and you can do obviously like 20 hours a week. So that's close to 500 to 600. So that's $2,400 a month. So you can easily pay off your rent and still have a good life. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think this definitely brings to one of the last questions is, any key takeaways from your master's experience that you really want to share? Like, had it been something I would have known, I would have done something in a better way. Any key takeaway from your personal, year or 2 years long experience in US and in Canada for the students before we move into the questions?
Go ahead, Sagar.
So you're talking about like what I have learned in Canada, like if I would have to do something different, what could I have done it? Isn't it? That's what you're asking. Okay, I think I'm at my place where I wanted to. So I have nothing more to add. But yes, before University of Calgary, if I did not dreamed about that professor to work with, then of course I would have applied to Stanford. If I would have given GRE at that moment or TOEFL.
Interesting.
Awesome. So for me, it was like this more like kind of like the last minute advice I want to give, sort of. Just do it. It's like one life. Like we always say YOLO. You go do masters only once. Your dream university, go to that. Don't like settle for anything less, and do whatever the hell you want to do, and like do it like work hard, that those 1.5 years won't come back. You want to build your own startup, build your own startup. You want to do research. But it shouldn't be like, 5 years down the line that you regret, because in at 1.5 years you'll be in the most beautiful place, because there's a lot of learning, experience, professors, like everyone's there. So that three digits dialogue, like it's वो सब जगह बट रहा है, जाके किधर भी ले लो types. It's like that. Technology is everywhere. Just go grab it. And yeah, nobody will do anything for you. You have to like go out of the way, and yeah, like just do it. Simple.
Interesting. Yeah, I think now let's begin to the questions. So the first question that we got asked by Yashraj is about what is the ratio of technical to design to management expertise required to crack the product management roles in US, and how different is it the expectations compared to India?
Okay, before this, Nikhil, I have a question for you. Like, you are a co-founder, you are a product manager in a way. So, what do you think should be the answer of this? Like, is there a particular ratio? Because I don't
I
think there's
feel
a.
yes, I would definitely agree to what you were about to say. As there's no particular ratio. The good part is it's always a good part if you know something. I again, this is a revelation. I never coded. I hated coding. I hated the black and white screens. That's my issue. Okay. But at the same time, I really appreciate technology. I have built more products than the regular bachelor students in computer science. I've built more than 2026 products all by myself using Excel sheets, Airtable, Slack, Bubble, and hundreds of different no-code products out there. You know, so the idea is you need to have a creative mindset, the building mindsets, or probably the tinkering mindset. You know, something that we did in the mentor conference. I just want to share a small anecdote. We thought of doing it on a landing page, but then we figured out we could do it more effectively and kind of build a traffic on the website if we just have to push it a little bit more here and there, and we kind of do the whole projection of the mentor conference on the website itself. I definitely had to take a word with call with my developer, had to integrate the OTP verification because not a lot of people in India open the emails. They are hell-bent on the text, so we needed the mobile number. We did the OTP verification mandatory. And because of that, it kind of helped us add only verified users for the mentor conference. No matter we had, let's say, 2,000, 2,500 users in a day joining in, but then all of them were verified users, which made a business sense to my company, right? So all of these things, it's just you need to have a creative mindset and you kind of relate to what people are doing, and you can always take inspiration from products. When I was rebuilding this website, I took inspiration from Swiggy, Mintra, and hundreds of other company sites which are being more trendy. So that's basically helped me draw those sketches. So from my understanding, product managers can also not have a technical like coding expertise, but at the same time, if they have a building understanding, that is more good. And at the same time, I feel the most underrated skill with product management is writing, documenting things. How do you create a documentation for your developers, for your team members, for your founders? The documentation is something is really important. How do you give a proper operating procedures? How the sprint's going to go. So all of these things, from my understanding, again, I'm a very limited technically. I still call myself technical challenged. The reason being, I don't code. But apart from that, I can do very similar things to what people can do on the basic technical expertise. So that's my understanding. I'm not sure how it happens in US, so I would restrict myself here.
I think that's like a perfect answer. So basically, product managers never code. You should be appreciative of the technical understanding. You should know what an API is, what a database is, how it works. You should be appreciative of technology. You should have a business mindset, like in terms of like how you said creative. You should There should be a problem that you're solving. If you're not solving a problem, if there's a problem that is not being solved, or if people don't care about it, your product will fail. So actually creating using technology to like create products that solve user problems and provides them the delightful experiences is what product management is. So business skill comes into in terms of, obviously if you have a product, you want to somewhere down the line think about the revenue, monetize it, think about the future in that way. So that where the business sense comes. Design, you should be, obviously nobody wants to look at a bad landing page or like a shitty website or a UI. That'll be like a turn off. Nobody will want to use that product. So product management is like a culmination of all of these things. you can be the least technical person, but I know like some people who are the least technical people and they've built the best products. Nikhil himself, like he says, he's built like 20, 25 products and he has this beautiful platform that we're on. So yeah, you don't need to be technical at all. Like Nikhil is example one, and I think I'm probably example two. I'm not that technically sound. Like I know text, I can talk about it, I can understand, but yeah, that's my example to it.
Yep.
And how it happened in the US is like there's they focus more on the practical aspect in terms of case study rounds, behavioral rounds, like situation, because as a product manager you need to think on the field, situation wise, like tell me about an experience when you failed, because all these product management is about user psychology. Do you know your users or no? So design, business, and behavior questions is what it's focused on. I've never seen like a tech round or like a technical understanding around where they talk about like, or they tell you to code. So yeah, I think tech is the least is the most overrated and the least used skill for product manager. Yeah.
Interesting. I would definitely agree on that because when we were hiring our product consultant, we had to go through exactly the same cycle. Okay, now let's come to something more general, generic. Can we get to know more about the scholarship opportunities abroad? So CMU and probably for Calgary in Canada, if you guys know any top scholarship opportunities or how the scholarship works, like how do one prepare and plan? If you guys any pointers on that, it'll be appreciated.
I think Sakit, you know this the best. I think you should go for this.
Yeah, he's definitely the guy. Okay, I got the full funding.
No, it's not something like that. For the scholarship and funding, I think the best way, because different country and different colleges work in a different way. That we know, every college says that they have admission committee who decides the admission. But when it comes to research-based program, I believe there are still admission committee. Let's say when it comes to Stanford, MIT, CMU, and other thing, or Penn State, any university, top tier university. But at the end of the day, the game changer person is professors. Because in admission committee, the chair just screen the application and then send it to the concerned professor. You are mentioning a professor's name in your SOP. So the screening committee first evaluates your eligibility, that whether you are eligible or not. But always the top tier university, they never have any kind of eligibility criteria. They want to see every applications, because you never know who will be the next Mark Zuckerberg. You never know. So I believe, so that's why you should mention clearly in your statement of purpose. And there are still many universities, even they are not asking for the statement of purpose. They just want students to apply. So according to me, you apply and then approach the professors, and then you will get a scholarship for sure. And still there are many universities where a professor is not deciding the scholarship too. There are the admission committee who decides the scholarship to be given to whom. So yeah, and still there is no any renowned scholarship that you can apply for a particular specific scholarship. When it comes to a good ranking university, let's say Stanford, CMU, or even in University of Calgary or anywhere. But in Canada, there is something called Open Doctorate Scholarship. It's mean when you apply for a doctoral degree, you can apply for that scholarship. And if you are eligible, if you have a good recommendation, good referral, they will nominate you, so that using that scholarship, you can pursue your degree at your school, wherever you want to pursue in Canada. So definitely there is a Killam Laureate, there is Open Doctoral Scholarship, AITF, that is Alberta Innovative Technology Forum, and there are many more. But this Open Doctoral is more popular.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
same way like sorry. It's the same way how like Sakit mentioned. I think you have to for you have to reach reaching out to professors is the best way, but because most of the times if not they are probably deciding, but if the times that and the evaluation criteria exactly how you mentioned, the time that the admission committee decides when the professor has no say, so that is there as well. For CMU per se, like it's really tough to get a scholarship because it's that competitive. Like thousands of people apply and my batch size was 25 and like 1600 or 1800 people applied. So so that's really tough. But apart from that, you get like GRE and all those waivers if that's kind of like some sort of financial help if you need, but financial aid for CM is really tough. And I know for a fact, like, when I was like posting content on my Instagram, I was searching for like all these places. So it was really tough to get the scholarships thing that is there. I think ForeignAdmits is doing this huge scholarship thing, right? That Nikhil, I see your stories and everything. So I think that definitely you guys can check out. And apart from that, I think because it's all at one place, because from my research what I've done, I have like a lot of documents where I've written all of this was scholarships, but it's all scattered, so it's really tough to find. So if Nikhil and his team have done that, so I think it's really good, because I think financial planning is a very key and is very important for any school per se.
Interesting. Yes, talking about scholarships, I was one of those kids who, Googled for years for scholarships and used to maintain the repositories in my undergrad days. And I kind of relate to all of your guys' pain regarding finding a scholarship, finding the fitment for that scholarship, and then the whole application process is so tedious. And applying to 50 scholarship is going to be a difficult task. And that's something we are trying to resolve even at ForeignAdmits using some technology to kind of provide a fitment to your profile. If you're a bachelor's in Canada for petroleum, this is the kind of scholarship that you should apply. So we kind of dumb down your searches. You don't have to open like 100 websites. You kind of just using one website and just optimizing your searches. So for that, I think go to foreignadmits.com/scholarship. You would see, I think right now, 6,000 plus scholarship that we have managed to gather in undergraduate, graduate, and short courses. And it's been catered to month by month. That's the first version. Yes, definitely there would be iterations that we are expecting. The one big scholarship that I kind of would like to make an announcement about is the Dream Big Scholarship that we launched personally, working with more than 700 universities right now, and it's predominantly spread all across US, Canada, UK, Australia, and some countries in Europe. All of the universities which are taking part in this kind of scholarship give student a minimum basic waiver of like a very basic waiver to somewhere as low as $500, $1,000 to very high waiver somewhere around $10,000 also. So you kind of get a good amount of pay that's going to help you towards your tuition fees, essentially. So that's something you can do. The whole amount is $1 million. That is something we have managed to keep it lucrative,
Wow.
more and more people to get it. And trust me, it was never easy to digest that $1 million total funding amount was possible. And gladly, we became the largest private scholarship in India right now as a provider of scholarship is concerned. So, and yes, to give a testimony, 5 students have already gotten scholarships. One from Pakistan, 3 from India, one from Middle East, and one probably from Sri Lanka is going to be there. So yes, there is a possibility that you guys can easily get scholarships. It's just that you guys have to work with us to help you get there. And yes, I would definitely share the link. It's probably there, blog.foreignadmits.com/scholarships. So we kind of have to still improve on it, but yes, that's the current site. And it takes care of only the universities which are taking part. I would be very honest, it doesn't take care of Carnegie Mellon or any of the top universities, because for those universities the applications are really competitive. This basically takes care of universities like ASCO, Stevens, and bunch of other universities where most of the grad applications are going also. So we kind of ensure that where most of the students are going in volume, we kind of tap those universities first and try to get scholarships from them, so that most of the students can at least be benefited, unlike the previous traditional models where they apply via consultant and they hardly get anything. So if you apply via us, we assure you you will at least get your flight tickets confirmed from us. So that's the least that we could do for you, and it's all a student run initiative. So if you guys love to probably go along, let us know. And Dream Big Scholarship is absolutely free to apply. You definitely just have to file applications through us, and we don't charge anything for that note. Okay, so yes, it's going to be 100% free applications, definitely for this session. So this one question has been asked: as a dual degree student, BTech and MTech, I believe it's someone from IIT. Okay, chemical engineering student, what are the options available for MBA program, especially in Canada or Germany? Also, what one should pursue if he is not keen on placements after completion of dual degree? Okay, so guys, this definitely brings to one very interesting question. I'm not sure if it's going to be related for both of you guys, because both of you belong somewhere in the core part, and this is more towards MBA part. Okay, India has a very different trend of freshers MBA. which we all know, and somewhere I don't appreciate it a lot because they get a PG diploma in IIMs and all. It's not a degree; it's basically PGDM, and that's something even people don't know about. So then, people going for MBA abroad, do you have any pointers or anything to share?
So yeah, so like I've given my GMAT and I got like 750, and I was one of those that I wanted to get into like Harvard and Stanford. But when I went to CMU, and like how you mentioned in India, like how after bachelor, like the rat race, they get into IIMs and all that. Like the people who get into IIT Bombay Computer Science, they still go to IIM, which I don't understand. Like, what's the point of the degree? Because I think MBA is a thing, or any management course as such, is something that after work of experience, like certain years of experience, you'll be more evolved and you'll be better. You'll be in a better position to understand what you really want and what you don't want and where you want your career to shape. Because I think the disadvantage of taking that MBA at early as in an age is like you actually restrict all your options later, because once you've done an MBA, you can't go back. Like after a tech degree, you still have opportunities and possibilities to do other things. So I totally agree with you, Nikhil. Like, doing an MBA directly, and yeah, IIMs offer a PGDM course, which yes, not a lot of people know about. But yeah, definitely after like 3-4 years experience, actually getting to senior position, figuring out what you want is the ideal time frame that I would probably apply for an MBA if I was in those shoes. Yeah.
Interesting. Saket, any pointers on this?
Um, in my university, there's a school called Haskine School of Business, and it's one of the renowned school for MBA programs in Canada. And they never give admission to the fresher students. In their admission page, they have strictly written like you should at least have a 2 to 3 years of industry experience, because at the end of the day you are going to be prepared for the management skills. And if you're a tech people, I think you should pursue some, you should do work for some time in the industry. And once you think like, okay, I'm ready for the management, then I think you should go for the MBA programs. So I can just press on it because I'm a tech guy, so I hardly have much idea about it. But this is what I understand. In India, things are very different. Even you have not completed your degree, you can appear for CAT. So yeah, this is not how it works in Canada.
Absolutely.
Neither in US.
Yes, totally. I think both in Canada and US, if you're going for an MBA, it's more like a professional degree, and it's predominantly for the working professionals who have spent a considerable amount of time. The basic example that I usually give to the students: imagine your batch is full of 35, 40 years old guys who have seen the industry, and you are 22 or 23 on that note. You have hardly seen. And when you're doing your projects, you would not get to learn a lot to implement things. You just get to see, okay, this is something I didn't know, this is something I didn't know, and it might make your experience overwhelming. And again, the finances is really I would say too much. If you're going for Stanford, it's going to be like a 250,000 dollars. If you're going for MIT, it's going to be $270,000, and it's damn expensive. uh, but yes, there are ways. If you still want to, let's say in future down the lane, want to go towards MBA, the one example that I can give is deferred MBA. It is there by limited schools in US. It's like you get an MBA admission right now, and 2 years after you're gonna join that school. So that something is very limited. You can always try for a deferred MBA. Else, if you're going for finance, if you're going for any specialization for your MBA, better go for masters, because at your age, if you're graduating as a fresher, specialization really matters than a general understanding, because MBA you're going to be doing a touch up on all the subjects. You're not going to go into any of the depths, which is something you need to focus when you're going for your specialization. So I believe that's something you guys have to focus if you're going for your masters or your MBA. And again, masters have a very high ROI compared to MBA as per the statistics. Depends on what you're spending. If you're spending like $30,000 versus $130,000, you have to be really cautious of what you can spend and what you can earn. Okay, I think guys, this has been a pretty long session and pretty engaging. Um, I just want to wait for 30 seconds for any other person has any questions, else we're gonna start the closing comments. So if anyone has any final questions for Karsh, Saket, or even to me, feel free to write in the comments. We're going to open for next 30 seconds, and then we're gonna wrap up the session. Just a fun fact: I've been doing this is my second webinar 2 hours later, I have a third webinar to do, and that's going to be predominantly on data sciences with another data science mentor. So yeah, if any one of you wants to join, be there on the YouTube probably for the next webinar. You're gonna see me again, but with someone new face for sure. Okay, so we have one interesting question coming up. What are the opportunities for PhD student after PhD in Canada or Germany? Or can we apply for work visa or let's say PR after PhD directly? Yes, Saket, I think it's going to be for you. Yep.
Okay. So for the opportunities, right? So I think North American, working environment is very different than what we are seeing in India. PhD prepares you for this, subject matter specialist. Yes, I mean you have more in-depth understanding of the subject matter than of like a field engineer or a bachelor degree student can have. So I think PhDs and master students are more preferred for the professional work or like the executive based works than the bachelor degree students. In India, anyone can become executive engineers like after their bachelor degree, but in Canada, it's not working in that way. You should have a master degree or a PhD degree if you want to be executive. And if you are a bachelor degree, mostly like what I have, as per my experience, I have seen people are exposed to the field to work as a field engineers, field executives, but they are not all working as an executive in the office or in the regional office. So I think PhD degree is a good thing to do in if you want to sustain in North America. And for the job opportunities, as far as concerned, I think there are many jobs available for specialist, subject matter expert, postdoc position. That's more common for a PhD guy, and many research engineers, research scientists. There are many job opportunities available after PhD. Even if most of the time, even you don't need the postdoc, there is a requirement to become to start working in academia as an assistant professor and all. You should need an independent, focused research experience after the PhD. But sometimes these things may be ignored if you have your background, like you are prepared, that you have spent some years in the industry too. So it's mean you have already worked and you have dedicated your time in industry for working. So you don't need it. You can even start as a assistant professor over in any university. And as far as work visa is concerned for Canada, is even no matter like any degree you are pursuing, any kind of degree in Canada, if it's less than 1 year, you'll get the 1 year work visa. But if you're doing more than 24 months of work study in Canada, no matter what kind of degree it is, it can be anything, even diploma too, you'll get the similar work year as for the visa. Like let's say if you're doing pursuing 2 years degree course, you'll get 2 to 3 years work permit. And for the PR, of course, there's a requirement. There's some CRSS score. I'm not much aware of the PR things, but still, like if you have 2 or 3 years of experience, you have the PhD, you can easily get the PR. Even in Alberta, where I reside, Alberta is the third largest oil field you can ever imagine, and this is the third world largest place which have the reserves of the oil and gas. So yeah, of course, they even nominate the petroleum engineers and the chemical engineers. Even if you have just pursued your bachelor degree from India, you can get the PR. So it's not a big thing. Yeah.
I think that's essentially it. If you're going for PhD, and this is probably going to be true for most of the countries, US, Canada, or Australia, you would be definitely ranked higher in your PR preferences. So for Australia, I can definitely vouch on it because I've attended the PR sessions, and as what I heard, even from the people in the states, if you're doing a PhD, you would have more likelihood of getting your work visa or the PR sanctioned than a master student, and same way it should go for Canada. So yes, now next question is probably for Utkarsh. For data science masters, should I need an experience or I can directly apply after college? I know it's a very conditional question, but feel free to share your opinion.
So, master's course for any MS course, actually, there is like for MBA, there's a requirement of work experience. For master, there's not. So, data science, if like people generally like now, I tell you why people do work experience if they want to get into, because that's basically it's a way to improve your profile. So it's all about profile building and profile improving. If you're already that good and you think you can get like the university that you desire and you want, you can apply after like your bachelor's as well. Like for CMU, the data science program, like the average experience was like 2 years. But then I know a couple of my friends who were freshers and they got in and applied as well. And there were like people with 10 years of experience as well. So there's no like one fit for all rule. Like if it works for you, it works for you kind of thing. But I would it the main issue comes in terms of like jobs when you're applying in the United States, because data science job for freshers is really tough. So it's always good to have like 1 or 2 years of experience under your belt so that you can apply for data science, machine learning kind of a role.
Interesting. Okay, guys. So I think this brings to the end of the session. Something we exceeded the time, but thanks Utkarsh, thanks Saket for coming on the short notice, and I'm sure you guys are having an amazing time. And post pandemic, I don't want to give a philosophical speech, but you guys are amazing good friends of mine, so I can definitely be a little informal. It's been great that you guys have shared more candid experiences with the students. And first thing first, go to Instagram. If you guys are having an Instagram, do follow Utkarsh for sure. I don't know about Sakit's handle. Sakit need to probably put it, or else definitely follow these guys on LinkedIn. Utkarsh does a lot of student stuff, and obviously thrilled how much energy this guy have. And he definitely shares a lot of things for the students in terms of the jobs, in terms of the placements, in terms of LinkedIn, and bunch of other things. And I think Utkarsh is building a product also on this note, if I'm correct. So yes, if you have any insights, you feel free to share about it.
So basically the so like when I was working in LinkedIn, the idea came of like making a better AI driven job searching solution with an online AI resume builder with a referral portal. So it's like 3 in 1 sort of a thing. So I'm working with like two students from Carnegie Mellon in computer science and one from the CMU MBA program. So it's part of the CMU entrepreneurship cell. So I did reach out to Nikhil about this because he has idea about startups and in the future, Nikhil, if you don't mind, I will reach out to you more on these lines. Any kind of help would be appreciated. And yeah, like once like I'm still like I think like close to like 6 months away from this, so it's too early days right now. But I will definitely working like how Nikhil mentioned the Instagram page and LinkedIn, like I try to do whatever like the best of my abilities, like in trying helping people and stuff like that. So yeah, feel free to follow, and if you have any questions, like you can send it my way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you, audience. Thank you for being there. Thank you, Nutkarsh, and thank you, Saket, for being here. So today we close the session, and all of you guys, if you missed the session, any part of it is there on YouTube, so you can go to ForeignAdmits YouTube channel, subscribe it if you may. That'll help us a little bit, and do follow this session and do share it across with your friends. It's going to be a lot of candid discussions. The one thing that I'm going to promise you that this session is going to also have some cutout videos coming out, so we are going to make another product out of it. So all the questions and answers, we are kind of making small videos out of it, and that also going to get shared. So definitely follow YouTube. So we are bringing out different questions, answers, insights about different courses, and yeah, I hope it helps all of you in your journey. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Sagar.